back to the Midnight Who Show, and we're going to be taking a look at another superhero TV show pilot. Of course, me and Steven took a look at Superman and the Mole Men a couple years ago, and today we're kind of swimming into the world of Aquaman. Yes, Aquaman had a pilot in the year 2005-2006. This was going to air, of course, on the WB network, but then it kind of, became CW, and they passed on the series. Now, you can't get this show, of course, on the Crisis on 2 or Blu-ray, and I think there's a few other places. I know iTunes also has it. So, let's talk about this pilot a little bit. Now, it's kind of interesting to think about. We're watching a pilot for a show that never came about. They filmed the pilot, and it just were passed on. But it's kind of interesting. The actor who played Aquaman is a very familiar face, considering he also played Green Arrow on Smallville. Speaking of Smallville, this show is from the creators of Smallville. So that's kind of cool. This show didn't last, 10 seasons like Smallville. It lasted 1 episode. But I want to think about why this episode, would this have worked as a show? And let's just talk about it a little bit. I would say, as a pilot, it's not awful. It's kind of the middle-of-the-road pilot. I think it does a really good job, of course, setting up kind of where this series would have gone. One, I think, you can kind of see what would have been Arthur. He's going to have to learn a lot about his, Atlantis heritage. And, of course, he has to train a little bit more. And you can kind of see that's going to be the season. And, of course, there's some people coming after him, of course. I can guess that's going to be, of course, season 1. I don't know who would have been season 1's kind of, who would have been that kind of, the big bad. I kind of wonder that. Now, of course, the big bad of this episode, of course, was a siren after, of course, Arthur. And this is probably one of the kind of downsides of this episode. Of course, that design, I don't quite like. I think, the siren look, but the costume they chose for when it's kind of more humanoid, I think is a interesting choice. And, when you look at this show, of course, it is from 2005-2006, so it's hard to really judge the special effects. Because honestly, they're not awful for 2006 standards. Watching it now, it's there. It's like, okay, whoa, what's going on? You can just see, CGI and visual effects has changed so much in 15 years. Just look at Doctor Who. 2005 Doctor Who compared to 2020 Doctor Who is vastly different. So from that angle, it's pretty good for 2006 standards. Also, the actor, of course, who plays Arthur, I think is doing a pretty good job. He did a really good job. I think he's a little bit better at Green Arrow. He doesn't, he definitely kind of screams someone who could be Aquaman, but I think he's a lot better as Green Arrow. At least that's what when I was watching this, I'm like, I think he's better. He's a better Green Arrow. The cast of characters that are in this pilot, I think, are pretty good. Now, of course, I really like the kind of mentor character who's going to help, Arthur kind of get through everything and learn more about himself. I think that's a great character, and I think their dynamic, what it could have been in season 1, could have been very interesting to watch. And also Arthur's father, I think, is a pretty good character. He doesn't have too much, but he's kind of there, and he's just a character. But of course, the main focus, of course, is Arthur. You can really tell he's kind of a troublemaking character. He has really it just seems like he has no really direction in life, and now he has something just kind of thrown onto him, like, you are, the king of the 7 seas, kind of. Good luck. And I think he's definitely I think they wrote the character very modern, and I think that was a really good way to handle Aquaman, because, of course, not many people know the story of Aquaman. And, this would have been the first big live-action Aquaman. You also have to look at this. If this was the very first Aquaman-related kind of TV show, I think this would have made for a decent show. I don't think it would have been a great show. I don't really see it lasting too long. But I think it could have worked at least a little bit. I really am curious to see what the direction the show would have gone. And it would have been very interesting to kind of watch it. And, it's kind of interesting to think, after all these years, look how much the CW has grown with DC content. It's just crazy to think how much they now have versus then. 15 years. A lot of things can change in 15 years. But that is, of course, it for this little look at, of course, the Aquaman TV show pilot. I think it's a decent enough pilot. I don't know if it would have made me want to watch the show weekly. But I would say at least it would have been a show that I would say, no, yeah, this show is not too bad. This is not too bad of a show to watch for for an hour. Of course, if you guys seen this pilot, let me know your guys' thoughts in, of course, the comments below. and I'll see you guys in the next video. What superhero pilots would you like to see me talk about in the near future? So that's it. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.